Hello, Liz. Welcome to the Parental CEO Ultimate Life interviews. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me, Lauren.
It's amazing. Now, we've not actually met in person yet, but through the whole travel side of stuff, we've bumped into each other. And I would love to invite you to share your story. So, the Parental CEO was set up to help parents in business, in life, in parenting, and in travel. So, let's find out more about you and your journey. So, please tell us who you are and where you're from, and then we'll talk about your kids and where you are now.
Sure. My name is Lizz Quain. I'm a worldschooling parent, a digital nomad, an entrepreneur. I'm now a world schooling coach, and I've created a course on how to travel and work remotely, and not so much on the work stuff, but how to travel with kids and educate them. So I'm from Seattle originally, and I've lived in many other US cities. I was born in Korea. My mother's Korean. I've lived in Spain. Pre-kids, I traveled to nearly 50 countries. So it's always been a really big passion of mine. And now I'm a solo parent to 14-year-old twin girls. We have been traveling and world schooling for almost 7 years. And my background is in sales and marketing. I also launched an indoor children's play cafe outside of Seattle. It was large, about 8,600 square feet. It had a big play area and a cafe and a preschool and 3 birthday party rooms. And I worked 100 plus hours a week back then. And I sold my business in 2016. I pulled my kids, my twins, out of school, and we started traveling. We basically tried it for a year and really liked it, and we kept going. And so here we are almost 7 years later. We've lived or visited over 20 countries, some of them repeatedly. We're not the type of family that tries to go to every single country on earth, but the ones we like. I've tried many different jobs during my digital nomad years. I've consulted with sales and marketing. I sold products on Amazon. That was a total disaster for me. I taught English online to kids in China. And then for the past 3 years, well, up until a year ago, I helped launch and run an online global school. And then I launched my new business, Trailblazing Families, back in January, I guess. And I'm working on just launched my second cohort.
Amazing.
So that's my background.
That like mind-blowing already. So like you've been through so much already. So tell everybody where you are now. We can see your background, but tell everybody who doesn't know where that is.
Sure. I'm currently in Bansko, Bulgaria, which has become a hotspot for digital nomads and world schoolers. A lot of times the families with kids follow the digital nomads. I'm here. Usually we spend the winters here. We've been here the last 2 winters participating in a world school hub that a friend of mine runs. But this time I'm here because there's the Bansko Nomad Fest that starts on Sunday, and I'm giving a talk to basically a bunch of digital nomads who don't have kids yet, to let them know, yes, you can still be a digital nomad with kids. So that's what I'm here. And yeah, I mean, I've been, kind of studying the digital nomad, world schooling, alternative education, travel, lifestyle for many years. And I think it's the ultimate way to live, as you do.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, we could probably pick up a lot of tips from you and your girls. I mean, our kids are currently at this interview stage. We have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So it's normally an argument of the 7-year-old saying, why don't the other 2 have to do homework? Or so we try to do it a little bit more off grid or through history and things like that. But tell us, how are you traveling? Are you in a van, a plane, a car, a bike? Like how do you travel around?
We've tried so many different ways. I did want to do van life, and I rented a van in Spain for a little bit, in Portugal, but my girls, after that experience, they refused because it was too small of a space. Because at the time, I think maybe they were 13, so teenagers want more privacy, I found. So I think I'm going to have to wait until they've flown the coop to do that, because I really like to do it. I do love driving. I drove my car with my kids and a lot of stuff from Seattle all the way down to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. It took us 2 weeks. But other than that, and I really was happy to have my car, and we lived in different places in Mexico. We were there during COVID. And then I did sell my car in Dallas, and then we took 4 flights to Tbilisi, Georgia, and we lived there for 6 months. So we have planes, trains, automobiles, just you name it. We've done so many different things. We rent cars sometimes. I mean, it depends on where in the world we are, but yeah, many different ways.
Amazing. And you know, when you're staying in accommodation, because currently like we're living in a van, but occasionally we'll take an apartment or a villa or a hotel or something. So where do you do the same style of apartments or hotels, or do you mix it up?
We've mixed it up so much. Obviously, you know, a lot of people use Airbnb, and I just gave a talk on the pros and cons of Airbnb. It'll take too long, but go to my Facebook group or my YouTube channel on that. But you know, Airbnbs, if we're staying somewhere longer, sometimes I'll rent an Airbnb or something for a week. And then my job that week is to find a longer term place. You know, if we're going to be staying for a few months, I've gone through rental brokers, Facebook groups, Marketplace, booking.com sometimes. Sometimes we travel fast, like my daughter and I. One of them was back in the US visiting grandma, and I just had one of them, and we fast traveled around Italy for 2.5 months. So we used Airbnbs and booking.coms, either the whole place, but since there was just 2 of us, a couple times we also just rented a really nice room with our own bathroom and a shared kitchen. And it was kind of like a more upscale hostel situation. We have stayed at hostels. Gosh, right now I'm renting a place that I heard of through the Bansko Nomad Network. It's $300 for a studio, and it's in town. You know, right across the plaza from the co-working space, so super convenient. I've rented houses more like $700-800 when we were in Mexico during lockdown, because I wanted a garden, and I had a live-in nanny at the time because I was working a lot for that online school, and I wanted someone to cook three times a day and do dishes and speak Spanish to my girls. So it kind of depends on our situation. But I really like the van life. My kids don't. I'm just, I don't know, maybe short term they'll do it, but not long term.
It's good. It's good to have so many different styles. And I think the whole idea of this too is inspire parents to go and live the travel life if that's what they want to do. And it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're happy. That's the whole idea. So there's so many different ways, and it's great to have so many different interviews for people in vans, boats. You know, we're actually staying with somebody right now who's been traveling just by public transport and bookings.com. So like yourself, you've tried so much already because you've been at it a while. So if let's cast your mind back to what was life before you made that initial step to say, right, I'm going to have the travel lifestyle. So what were you doing? What struggles did you have?
Right. Well, again, I did this twice. Once pre-kids, I was working in San Francisco and working a very stressful, glamorous magazine job in advertising. And I just worked so hard. I never had a chance to travel much during university. And so I saved up money, I quit my job, and I backpacked around the world for a year. And that was really scary because Americans don't typically do that. I mean, especially back then. This is 1998, 99. So I was worried that I would ruin my career, right? And therefore my life. But it was one of the best years ever. I went to 27 countries. I mean, more of a backpacker, right? I mean, a couple of scary things happened. I was in a train crash in Hungary. I got salmonella in India, you know, so, you know, I had a few bumps. And then when I had my twins, they were born in New York City, but then we moved back to Seattle to be closer to my family. I'm a solo parent, long story, but solo parent of twins. And my mother basically was our stay-at-home mom for when I was launching that Play Cafe and running it, because I was working sometimes 100 hours a week. So I think I just got really burned out of running a brick and mortar business. So it wasn't a corporate office job, which I think a lot of people have, and they get burned out with that. But I still felt like I was like in the rat race, you know, and I was just spending so much time on my business. You know, it was brick and mortar. It was really hard, like labor intensive physical work during the day. I mean, I was the general manager, but I chipped in making coffee, mopping the floor, wherever I needed to be, especially when we were busy. And then after everyone would leave, I would stay until 11 o'clock doing my bookkeeping and schedule for next week and marketing and all that stuff, you know, that I would do. And it was too much. So I burned out. I wasn't work. I mean, by year 4, I think I was working about 70, 80 hours a week, but it's still a lot. I mean, weekends too, because we hosted birthday parties and I never saw my kids, which was really strange because I launched the business for them. So, I knew I had to sell it and I quietly kind of posted it on a business sell website. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next because I'm like, oh God, now I have to go get a corporate job. But a friend of mine told me about a family that sold everything and they traveled around the world for a year. So kind of took a gap year and they were giving a talk in downtown Seattle that Thursday. And so I had to go because I was like, I've always wanted to travel with my kids. I always thought that we'd have to wait until they're teenagers, but these kids were 8 and 9 years old. And my kids, I think at the time I was thinking about selling, they were 6.5. And it took a while to research all that, but we left when they were 7.5. So, yeah, I went to the talk. And this is before any of the big World Schooler Facebook groups or digital nomad groups were big. And they were just small little groups on Facebook. And I just learned from them, you know, how to connect with others. I joined some groups. I met with people who were passing through Seattle. So I met them in person and there was a barbecue that I went to. And then, yeah, and then I started, you know, researching and I went down the rabbit hole to so many different places and trying to figure out how to be a digital nomad, how to fund it, because I used to work and save up money. Then I would go travel for a year and come back, work. And then I lived in Spain for a year and then I would come back and work. So this time I thought, oh my gosh, I can work while we travel. And so, and then I'm, you know, researching all the different ways to educate my kids because again, I owned a preschool, but I wasn't the teacher and I had a preschool director and a teacher, you know? And so I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I can homeschool the kids. So at the time I was very nervous. I was scared. I started following different people who were more experienced than I have. And now I interview experienced world schoolers and I post them on my Facebook group and on my YouTube channel, because I think that, you know, we all can share like what you're doing now, you know, different people who live this lifestyle, you know, how to do it so we don't make so many newbie mistakes. So we launched and I wasn't, again, I was already an experienced traveler, but this was the first time traveling with kids. And we decided to go to Asia at first because, well, I decided my kids were too young to really make a choice. But I think, I mean, now they decide. But then I thought, okay, they're really into nature and animals and, you know, Southeast Asia and other places. We went to Korea and Japan. It's safe. It's very kid friendly. There's lots to do. And so we went there first. And then, you know, again, we kept going. We've been to, again, many countries, 20 some countries, Latin America, Europe. We haven't been to the African continent yet. I have been to Morocco, but we want to go there in the future. We want to go to Egypt soon, but all over Asia. My Spanish is about intermediate, and so my kids are learning, especially one of them. So we spend a lot of time in Spanish-speaking countries. And yeah, I mean, it was just so stressful, that life. And then compared to how our life is now, it did take me a while to figure out the income bit because, as I mentioned, I've tried different ways to do it. I'm really glad that I finally I'm at a point where I have a lot of experience in one thing and knowledge, and I can, this is kind of like my ikigai. I don't know if you've heard of that Japanese term. Yeah, so it's like, you know, figure out what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what people will pay you for. And so far, I have my second cohort, and people are really happy with what I'm teaching them. And, you know, I'm trying to help them be able to launch into this lifestyle with more confidence and ease and not make a lot of the newbie mistakes. So, yeah, we're much happier now. I mean, my kids, again, they're twins, but they're fraternal twins. And sometimes we want different things. And that's a whole nother video of how to get everyone to be on the same page.
Oh my goodness, that's so inspiring. It's like, you know, everything, all the questions we're going to ask, you just answered it in one go. So that's amazing. Thank you for that. Did anything go wrong when you first jumped outside your comfort zone, chucked your kids in and started traveling? What went wrong?
knock on wood, we haven't had a lot of mishaps because I think, again, I'm an experienced traveler. I've worked in education, so I can mention the education bit in a second. But Aubrey did fall off a playground thing, and she was saying in English to her Spanish-speaking nanny in Medellin, Colombia, "Catch me." And so her teeth went through her skin, so we had to go to the emergency room for that. Yeah, lots of blood. It was fine, but it was scary. And then she did get ringworm, which is not a worm, it's a fungal infection because she kept, grabbing this dog that had it. So she has ADHD, and so she's been a little bit more of needing a little bit more help with everything, with not touching dogs that have ringworm and other things. And she also, they were attending the online global school that I helped launch, and she had her time focusing on it because she has ADHD and she's like looking at other things. So the education bit has been a bit more of a challenge for her. She, in the past year, has wanted a break from traveling. My mother had some minor health issues, but my daughter was like, "Oh my gosh, I should spend more time with grandma," who was like a second mother to him. So she wanted a break, and she spent the summer with grandma last summer while Gabby and I went to Argentina. And then she said, "I want to try school." And so the school near my mother, where she recently moved to, was terrible. I mean, 2 boys brought guns to the school. So I said, "No way are you going to that school." So I found a Montessori. It's still in the public system, but my mother has to drive her 20 minutes each way. So she's trying it with mixed results. She wanted friends. She felt like with her ADHD, she wasn't able to self-direct her learning as much because we're kind of leaning that way. They have attended local schools in Peru and Mexico. Again, the online school, we visited many World School hubs. I've had nannies and tutors for Spanish and whatnot. And again, the other one just learns by doing. So she's become a digital artist and she's learning animation. And I'm also training her to be a virtual assistant for me, So that's education too. But the other one is trying this Montessori. And when we go back, I'm going back soon in 2 weeks. We're going to have a big family meeting, and I'm hoping we will all vote to hit the road again. So it has been a challenge getting on the same page with different members of my family. I would say that's the biggest challenge.
It is so difficult because, you're not going to just leave. If you've got a normal 9 to 5 life and you're wanting to get out and just go, it's not going to be the same. When we first started, we would try and I was like, right, I'm going to have my clients at 9 till lunchtime. And then Toby can homeschool then. And then we'll do this, we'll do that. What we found was we needed to get up, get out and do something. And then, the homeschooling came more in the evenings for Toby. He's also got autism and ADHD. We only just found out and we have no idea how to manage it. We're picking up tips everywhere, so maybe you could do a tip on that.
Well, I am giving a talk to some homeschooling conference for neurodivergent kids soon, so I will post it everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we could do a whole another video on that because I think we've just rolled out managing hospitals and healthcare or medical care whilst traveling. We just rolled that out yesterday. So I know what you're saying about the hospitals. We've been to so many in the last 16 countries ourselves.
Wow.
All of us apart from Tobias, so that was lucky. But it is terrifying when you first step out and you think, I don't know what I'm doing. But then, like you say, it's all learning. And if you and I and whoever else are out there can help people with that confidence to know, here's all the stuff that went wrong for us and here's how not to do it, or
right.
Try these tips or try these things, because what we've found is we haven't found any of the hubs. We've got to them at the wrong times, or we've not managed to use them right, or we traveled all the way from Portugal to Turkey to get to the World Schooling hub, and people were there for like 3 or 4 days and then they all left and we were left there.
No. I hosted a teen hub there in Fethiye last spring for a month, so I don't know.
That's what we tried for, but we got there at the wrong time and everyone left. I didn't realize that they were only for certain periods of time, so maybe we could tell people a bit more about that on your next video or something. That would be great.
I'm putting together a list of World School hubs and pop-ups. It's for the participants in my program because I hired a VA to do it because they're constantly changing and it's hard to keep up, and there's lots of pop-ups. You know, so I kind of put my feelers out for us and figure out where do we want to go, and are we going to be in that part of the world? You know, is it easy for us to get to? And you know, you just can't go to all of them unless money is no object and you want to crisscross the earth all the time on a plane.
Yeah, it's amazing because this is something Jamie and I have been talking about for the last 6 months. I'm actually just got somebody on board who I don't know if you guys can check out Extreme Global. They're amazing events company. But we've been talking to them in the background, and we've also been looking at some eco campsites where we can set up the hubs full time, so that people who are traveling in a van or in a car don't have to keep stopping and flying to another hub. And the places are just running in the background where, you know, their communities are already there, and anybody who's passing through can be part of it from, you know, one night to 21 nights, whatever it is you're staying there for. So that's something we've been missing on the road, because like I say, we're traveling to the hubs and we're missing out on the dates, or we are not going to just drop the van off and fly somewhere to get to. My son Tobias really wants to go to Egypt, so maybe we can meet you there one time, but we're not going to, where we weren't going to drive over to Egypt just to go to the hub. But we're now in Albania, and we found an amazing little campsite, an eco campsite, and all it's missing is like a little bit for the parents to do a bit of co-working and a club for the kids, really. And it wouldn't be hard to set up, and we've looked at that now in 16 countries. We've found some locations, so that would be really cool. You know, future thinking, if we can get that going.
Casual hubs are not difficult, but when you start organizing a lot of activities and childcare and apartments and all of that, I mean, I go to the Bansko one, and Emmy, my friend who's been running it for 3 years, almost 4 years, I've seen how hard she works and how difficult it is. And I've seen other hubs come and go. The organized ones, you know, because parents are paying for money and they want certain things, and everyone wants something different. It's not easy. And some people just get tired and just say, I don't want to do this anymore, because they're doing it to build community for their families. Most of them, I mean, there is Boundless. I've interviewed this co-founder, and that's more upscale. They have locations, 3 locations, I think Portugal, Greece, and Italy, and they're launching Bali soon, but it's $10,000 a month for a small family. It includes a school and a co-working space and activities and an apartment. So it's very full service, but it's not cheap, you know.
And
so
it's amazing because like what we find that we're missing on the road so far, and this can go into you and I talking next, is that there's nothing low-key, like where we can just rock up and there's something for everybody to do without it being organized. We've not found anything on the routes that we've been on, so it'd be really great to maybe talk to you about your experience with that offline or in a video.
Well, I'll just give you one tip real quick. Is La Herradura, Spain, in Andalusia, south. It's like east of Malaga, south of Granada. That's been a very casual world school hub for years, La Herradura. So there's almost always people there. A lot of the world schoolers who live there, because sometimes live there year round or part of the year, they leave during the summer during high season, and they might rent a house and they rent it out during the summer to tourists. But in the spring and fall especially, it's very busy there.
Yeah, no, well, we were there in December, and we didn't know anything about it. We couldn't. So as newbie travelers, for people who are setting out on this journey, hoping that you and I and everybody else can inspire them, you know, the key tips then maybe are to join the groups, find where things are, but also know that, you know, you don't have to go via these places to find the hubs. If you can find campsites that have everything you need nearby, because obviously when you're traveling in a van, you don't tend to be trying to get to the world schooling hubs so much as, oh, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see that. Oh, it's not on the way, let's skip it. And
there are van lifers who families who come to world school hubs, and they park there.
That's what we've been looking for. So it's a case of, it would be amazing to see how many of those we could get on, maybe put a little map on for other people who are looking.
Yeah, it's hard because I know people who have launched apps for world schoolers and asking, where are you? But then I've joined them and I'm really bad about updating my location. It's a lot of work. And there's a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of, sometimes they'll say, where in the world are you this week or this month or whatever. It's just, you got to network, you got to start following people on Facebook and Instagram and wherever, and bit by bit, you start becoming friends with people and asking. And especially for my kids, they want to be around people that kids their age, teens, and so, and it's, there's not as many teens traveling as there are younger kids. I mean, it's growing, and there are Facebook groups for world schooling parents of teens, so you have to kind of figure out your niche. And I think there's a Road Schooling Europe group. There's so many Facebook groups. I think that's kind of the medium that most people are using to find and connect. And, I would just recommend join all the groups, including mine, and just dig around and post and use the search thing. And if you're going somewhere, just type in, whatever the country or the city, and then maybe somebody will say they're there too, or they might live there, because there's expats who are happy to have world schoolers connect with them.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think for anybody who's watching this as well, you can always, drop in the comments below any of your questions if there's somewhere to meet up, or if you maybe have a question for Lizz about where she stayed in one of the countries she's mentioned, or even for us, most people who are following the parental journey as well, we've not yet released the videos of the places we've been, so that will be on another playlist. But just ask the questions. If you're heading somewhere, like, oh, I'm traveling down from France to Gibraltar, where should I stop on the way? Are there any homeschooling communities on the way? Then just drop it in the comments. I'm sure we would love to answer them between us and help you out there. But Lizz, oh, you're so inspiring, and it's so amazing to meet somebody who has had so much experience already. What are your couple of tips, one big tip you can give everybody who's watching on, if they're sat on the fence thinking, do I take my kids on a travel adventure? How do I live the ultimate life with my kids? Like, what could you tell them?
Well, I think if you're afraid, if you're on the fence and it's hard to just sell up everything and go, then do a trial run and, just go somewhere for a month, or I don't know how long. I mean, try not to treat it like a holiday, a week-long holiday. Like, try to go a little bit longer if you can. Maybe you can rent your house out, your apartment out, or whatever. So then, because some people, if they bought a long time ago and their house has good value, they can rent it for a good fee if you're allowed to, and that helps pay for traveling, So yeah, I mean, obviously you have to figure out the income, you have to figure out where you want to go, all of that stuff, but give it a try, because we are not trees. We don't have roots. We don't have to stay anywhere forever. You can give it a try. If it doesn't work out, you can always go back. I do recommend not traveling fast. Don't treat it like it's a holiday. It's a lifestyle, not a holiday, because if you travel really fast, then everyone gets burned out and exhausted and cranky and fights, and then everyone's like, let's go home. So maybe find a world school community, whether you drive to it in a van or fly to it or whatever, because it's kind of a soft place to land. I also have a post on my Facebook on the top 5 countries for world school newbies. So, check that out, because I pick places that are kind of easy to go to, not super much like a culture shock, and still kind of affordable. And yeah, my advice would just be, give it a try. We gave ourselves a year to try it, and my kids, we vote every year, and they kept voting up until recently. One wanted a break, but I'm hoping she will come back. So yeah, just give it a try.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us. Really, really appreciate your commitment and the value you add in. So keep going, keep doing it, and keep living your ultimate life.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Because I just, like you, I want to help people get rid of the fear and feel more confident to live this lifestyle, because it can be amazing.
It is, and it is amazing. And you do treat it like a holiday. When you first set off, you're like, oh, we could go here, and oh, we could go there, and you end up like doing the touristy stuff. And there's nothing wrong with doing the touristy stuff, but you just have to know that when you live in this lifestyle, it is a lifestyle. It's not a holiday, unless you're like, you've got money to keep you funded forever. I mean, we said when we set off, right, we've got enough money now to go for 5 years without having to earn anything. So we were fortunate enough to be in that position. We've met people on the road that have, you know, saved up for a year, gone traveling for a year, gone back, got themselves jobs straight away for a 6-month boost, and then they're off again. So there's so many different ways of doing it, but the most important thing is that you do it how you want to. Use the advice and the tips from Liz, from myself, from the other interviews. Watch the other Ultimate Life interviews. Check out the parental CEO interviews, for those are ideas of how to set up your business so you can do this online. I mean, Liz, I think you're going to end up in the next parental CEO interview as well, of how you've devoted your life to being able to help others, but also how you can help them get online. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the other interviews.
Thank you for having me.
Have an amazing day.
You too.